Welcome to the Wash Forward Show, where we explore the world of car washing. We're your hosts, Blake Newman and Tyler Slaughter from Talk Car Wash, with special guests, Cindy Quintana, Senior Marketing Manager at NCS, Sarah Parker Massey, special guest, Cindy Quintana, yes, Brand Director at Camel Express Car Wash, and Jeff Joes, owner of Mr. Splash Car Wash.
Thanks, Blake. Today we're going to talk about building a brand from the ground up. When we were originally discussing this topic and it came up, I was like, man, I don't know anybody better to discuss this than Sarah. So, Sarah, if you will, introduce yourself, kind of share the story behind Camel Express Car Wash, and then kind of talk over how the brand has evolved as the business has grown.
Thank y'all for having me. First of all, when you asked me to be on this, I didn't realize it was video. So I'm pretty good on audio, but I get a little nervous on video. So y'all have to excuse. But um, um, so a little bit about my background first. Graphic design and branding has always been a part of my life. My mom was a sign maker and an entrepreneur. And I watched her develop brands for the businesses she was involved in my entire life. And I learned my own passion for branding when I built my first business at 22. And I later helped build Camel's brand alongside my brother Reed, who founded the company in 2016. And my involvement with Camel's brand began with Reed's and my own, maybe even louder, my own frustration with like crowdsourced attempts at branding Camel and kind of generic things that he was offered, and wanting to come in and make it something that he could really be proud of. And so I ended up coming on to help build the brand alongside Reed. And it took quite a while for us to develop it over the time that he was getting everything ready to actually build the building and secure all of that stuff. And I think what we came out with was what we intended to, which was a really personal, nostalgic, well, actually, the several marks that we knew we wanted to hit and we kept as our North Star straight, like all the way through, was family friendly, nostalgic, and familiar and fun. And I always went back to those as we were working on it. And we knew we wanted to make this brand something that people could feel and connect with and not just recognize. So we leaned into things like familiar colors. We used things that meant a lot to us, like from our childhood. And this is just one example, but there's every corner, like the font that we used for Camel. And this is all through things that a great designer will help you find in your own history. Things like this font from the cover of a book that meant a lot to Reed when he was little. And I happen to know that because he's my brother. But things like that, like pulling in references from your own
Yeah.
background.
Makes it special.
Right. Makes it special. And people don't know that they're feeling that, but that connects on a human level. And like our school mascot brands were blue and yellow. We happened to be next door to a Walmart. And I knew that we needed to not have exactly Walmart's colors. So we found their corporate brand guide and downloaded it and made sure that, or I made sure that the colors weren't exactly the same as theirs, and worked with that and made them complementary. And pardon me. After being in the car wash world for now, I think it's 8 years. I'm not a math guy. But what I have seen is, and this is not meant to be a blanket statement. A lot of car washers have great brands, and I think the industry in general is moving in that direction, and recognizing the value of great creative and to investing time and energy and money into great creative. But I mean, I'm biased, but I can't stress enough how much like a trustworthy brand means to me. I think it's as important as anything else, that when you walk into a place that there's consistent branding, consistent logos at every location, that makes someone feel safe. And even if they're not recognizing that consciously, that's just part of what we expect, especially when you're working on a scalable business. So some things I wanted to note specifically are if you are building a brand from the ground up, considering design rules, but also bringing in your own personal touch. And that is what makes a brand powerful, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um, and consider not staying with. I'm not saying someone that is a car wash branding background, maybe that may be great, but just consider going outside of that and finding a creative that has nothing to do with that, or at least somebody who thinks differently than you. Um, Having that perspective might be really valuable, and even spending time with somebody like that in a creative world, just seeing
Mm.
what that feels like.
Challenges the status quo.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think investing in design, time and money wise is never a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Tyler or Sarah. So, Tyler, on the culture side, how have you seen the internal experience reinforce the external brand?
Yeah, thanks, Blake. For Camel, we've talked about this a lot, but for us, culture isn't a department or a poster. We've talked about, it is our brand. That all starts internally with how the teams feel every day at Camel, and exactly what shows up and how our customers experience us. When we're talking about culture being the brand, internal experience is what people feel externally. You really can't fake great service or caring energy in front of your customers. They pick up on that pretty quick, almost instantly. So everything starts with how we treat our team members. That kind of overflows to our customers. From day one, we've focused on making Camel a place where people feel valued, believed in, supported. The tangible programs that kind of reinforce that, and that's some of the things we've talked about that we're going to get into when you talk about kind of operations as the backbone. Culture only sticks if operations support it. We
Mm.
built systems, Sarah talked about this at one point, but we built systems that protect our experience. We have really clear expectations. We have really repeatable processes, and then our support team exists to take care of all that and serve it. We don't really manage it. We have teams that do that. Our sites look really clean. I know if you talk to my team, they'll tell you I'm super picky about that and everything looking sharp, from dress code to signage to paint to landscaping. But we don't let our standards waver, because when we do, it's noticed. I think that consistency gives a lot of people confidence in what we're doing and what we're building in Nashville. Um, and then the tangible programs that kind of reinforce all this that I was getting into. This isn't just a feel good talk. We put our money where, you know, we put our money and our time behind everything that we do, from the Camel Cares Foundation, where we have team members that donate to a fund that supports each other financially and in times of need, to our support team model that supports the communities that we serve. And we're building a really cool culture out in the community with this event manager, Marilyn, that we have, that makes our culture feel real. It makes it come to life. We were just at a Sounds event to where they said that our swag was better than Budweiser, and I'm pretty sure that lit our ears up. That was pretty cool. And then just, the way that we promote ourselves, or the way that we promote team members into these roles that, we're kind of empowering them to run our facilities and take care of the team members and customers. Most of them come from within, and we kind of got a trust signal to our teams that, we're here to grow with them. We want them to grow with us. And this can be a long-term thing for our team members and customers. And then kind of to close my side up for what you were talking about. Culture is not a campaign, it's a choice every day. And when your internal team feels loved and aligned, they create a kind of a external brand that you can be proud of. We've often heard a lot of people say you guys are the Chick-fil-A car wash, and that one's always rubbed me wrong. So I always correct everybody. And I say, no, we're the Camel Express of car washes. That's what we've leaned into. Um, it's kind of a funny when you tell customers that, because, I don't want to be called I guess most people be proud to be called Chick-fil-A car washes, but we like to be called the Camel Express of car washes. When you kind of take that full circle, Blake, queuing you up for kind of your perspective. What are some takeaways and strategies that operators can walk away with and start thinking about or implementing?
Yeah, so when it comes to, brand, thinking about consistency, whether you're a single site operator or a multi-site operator, your brand, your logo, your imaging being consistent throughout the property, uniform staying fresh, not only the brand staying fresh, but everything that represents the company, the people, it's all consistent, throughout the property, the elements. it all adds up. There's not things that are, fighting against each other. If there's congruence throughout the property, consistency with the brand, and then the authenticity of the brand, looking for areas to add it, but not going over the top. Whether it's trash cans or towel bins or flyers, making sure that they're the things that the customers are feeling and touching and seeing, that it's consistent with the brand and who you are as a company. And that honestly creates the clarity that you guys are looking for and working so hard for when it comes to the branding. So that the branding, it's more than just the marketing, it's the total experience. Some people will just focus on the inside of the car wash, or just focus on the back lot or the website or the street sign. It all kind of comes into consideration when you're looking for consistency in branding. So when it comes to brand pairing, I kind of want to tee up this next subject for Sydney to come in and crush it. So Sydney, if you kind of would kind of introduce yourself and walk through what brand pairing looks like and why it matters to an operator.
Yeah, thanks, Blake.
I'm really excited to talk about this one now that you've mentioned what you're going to bring up with the Taco Bell stuff. This one's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, Sydney Quintana, Senior Marketing Manager, NCS. I've been in the branding and marketing realm close to 15 years. Been part of this fun industry of car washing for 2. And coming in, like to think about brand pairing is the 2 brands or more coming together to create this really strong experience, feeling, trust, and it can be done in car washing. It's done in all other industries regularly. So, like Tyler said, we were talking about Taco Bell. So, I think everyone can relate. Doritos Locos Tacos, Doritos, Taco Bell teamed up to create this awesome taco that is still being talked about decades later. They, and I don't know if anyone knows this, 15,000 jobs were created because of this one taco. The amount of people that wanted to try this taco created 15,000 jobs, which is just insane to me. And then they also, in 1 year of launching the Doritos Locos Tacos, they made $1 billion on that taco. So that doesn't take into account everything else that someone purchased when they went to try that taco. It's just on that one taco, that's how much they made. So the amount of opportunity when 2 strong brands come together, there's really nothing like it. So another one that you guys may be aware of is Lego. Lego has done this time and time again. So Harry Potter, Star Wars, Adidas, Ferrari, they continue to bring other strong brands from all different industries in with them, and it really just creates this amazing opportunity for both. So I'm going to ask Sarah, she's also in the branding and marketing world, on any that come to her mind or any that you have done from Camel.
Yeah, one that I was thinking of outside of Camel is recently I like went and sought stock in Caterpillar because I saw them doing a bunch of different brand pairings. One of them specifically was with Urban Outfitters, and I thought that was so odd to reach out and do like fashion when that's not the world that you're in. And I thought they're really trying to move things forward. And another one that you may or may not have heard of is Camel Express is working with Lyft. So we're currently doing a brand pairing with Lyft, and doing free washes for their drivers.
I love that. Have you guys launched it yet?
Did we launched it yesterday?
Wow, it's new.
Lyft has started a rewards program for their drivers, and part of it is they get car washes, oil changes, things like that as reward points. And we're their car wash in Nashville.
That's awesome. We'll have to do a follow-up version of this to see how it goes and get all your insights. So yeah, I mean, you guys are probably, I'd love to in the chat for you guys to put any other brand pairings that maybe you wouldn't have tried the brand, but they paired up with one of your favorite brands. So you're like, no, I'll give it a try and see. I think you'll be surprised how much this is done. So I'm going to bring that into car washing. Rain-X and Armor All, they've been around for decades. They have put in the time and the money and the energy to really become those top brands. So in the branding world, only 5% of brands ever make it to this level where they have this brand strength and brand salience. And what brand salience is that top of mind. When someone wants a product or wants a service, is your brand the first they think of? Or do they have to go out and they have to research and they have to ask friends and they have to do a little bit of more research to understand what's out there? So we'll think of like if you cut your finger, you're going to go and grab a band aid.
Mm.
That's not the actual product name, that's the brand name. It's adhesive bandage, but they have created that brand strength and salience where that's just synonymous with getting a cut. Same with if you need to blow your nose, you're going to grab a Kleenex, which that's the brand name as well. It's a tissue. So creating that brand strength and salience is super hard to do. That's not just you put your logo out there and a year later you have this. It's time and energy and money that go into creating this.
Crazy that I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. And you start thinking about it and you're like, that's true. There's a lot of things like Rain-X has even done it. Rain repellent. You think rain repellent now, you think Rain-X.
exactly.
There's just
I
these
was even
strong
sitting here
brands who continue to do this over and over
I
again.
was even sitting here thinking about how like I don't even trust the knockoff band-aids. I always just buy band-aids.
And you're like, it has to be better, you know? It's name brand.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah, because they've taught us and they've conditioned us to say we trust this brand. They've been out there. You see their name all the time. They continue to market even though they have taken up that brain share from us. They're still investing in marketing and branding because that's how you get to that level.
And Sydney, maybe you could touch on, I know NCS recently launched a national study on branded chemistry. What were the goals of the research? What did you guys find? And what are some standout stats or takeaways from your guys' findings?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been in marketing and branding quite a few years. And so, when I came into car washing and I saw that we had Rain-X and Armor All, I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, the opportunity that car washes have to use these brands, like, everyone must be using it. Everyone must be seeing all of these benefits of brand pairing. And while we do see some people using them, they're not always using it effectively, or car washes is like, well, like, yeah, I know those brands, but do my customers actually care? Like, would this make a difference to my bottom line? So we were like, okay, let's get some stats. Let's find out. So we partnered with a third party research company, Bob Klein. He is actually the research director for the ICA. He has his own company, 92529 Partners, has been doing research for Fortune 500 companies, knows the industry and knows research. So he did this for us. It was across the US, so a census balance study, 4,600 individuals who have used an IBA or express car wash in the past year. And so
Mm.
we asked them a bunch of questions. We'll send out the full report so you guys can like dive into the data and geek out like I did. But I'm going to just pull it up so I can read some of this because it's really cool what we found. So we looked just about like, why do people use car washing? And then we dove into, okay, if your car wash offered Rain-X and Armor All, would you care? So on the membership side, which is what we all really strive for, how can we strengthen, retain our members, grow our memberships? We saw that it did make a big difference. So in this study, we asked members of a car wash if your car wash offered Rain-X or Armor All in their top membership package, would you upgrade to that top package? 61% of them said yes, that they would, which is
Wow,
huge. I mean, I don't know, Blake, Tyler, if you saw those numbers, that
that's
61%
majority.
of my members would upgrade.
Yeah,
Great.
that's
Yeah, that
strong.
would be that'd be a big impact on your top package.
Right. Absolutely. We also looked at for those members who said that they were considering renewing, maybe not, they weren't quite sure if they would continue. 41% of them said that they would not switch to another car wash and would renew with their current car wash if they had Rain-X or Armor All brands for them to use. So not only is it going to help you grow those memberships, you're going to continue to retain them, is what we found. There's a lot more stats on the membership side, but those are just two like really cool, really impactful ones.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that study.
Yeah. We also looked at retail customers, so
Mm.
non-members, and wanted to say, would this make a difference to them if a car wash did? So we said, would you consider switching to a car wash than the one you're currently from if they offered Armor All and Rain-X, and 52% said yes, they would consider switching. We also asked them, how much more would you be willing to pay for a car wash if they offered Rain-X and Armor All? We had different options like $1, $2, $3, more than $5. And the average was $3 that they would be willing to pay more if those were part of their wash. And then we also asked, if a car wash had Rain-X and Armor All products on their menu, would you be willing to drive farther to them? So maybe that's not the most convenient wash, but they have those products. Would that make a difference? And they would be willing to drive an average of 10 minutes more to get to that car wash that had those brands.
Wow.
So a lot of opportunity there. Super interesting information on what customer preferences are and what they're willing to do when it comes to strong brands that they already know and recognize, and they don't have to do any learning about this brand. Like, they already know Armor All and Rain-X. So when it's introduced in the car wash setting, they are gravitating towards it.
Man, yeah, I look forward to seeing that study. That's interesting. I'm glad that you guys surveyed both sides of the market too.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it creates the trust, because it's not just the car wash, it's a name that they're familiar with. So it kind of just reinforces the value proposition across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The opportunities there are great. And one thing I want to say is that really, when it comes to any offering, if you just put, for example, Armor All and Rain-X, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. We're going to put it online. You can't just expect these lifts, like we're saying, like the $3 more. That's not going to just happen because you put it in your tunnel. You have to strategically market and communicate this. Like, your CSAs need to feel comfortable talking about it. You need to be talking about it on your social media, in your signage. You need to make this known, because just putting it online is not going to be enough. You have to be strategic and smart and make a holistic approach about it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And what I'm really excited for, so Jeff Jose with Mr. Splash, they actually use these products. So we thought it'd be really cool to get Jeff on here and say, okay, Jeff, we have these stats. We are showing that car wash customers care. But as a car wash owner, what have you seen by using these brands? So thank you, Jeff, for joining. Super excited to hear.
Thanks for the wonderful invitation. At Mr. Splash, we focus on professionalism, and part of the way that we do that is our branded chemistry. So we've had a relationship for NCS now for over 9 years, and we use their full chemical line. One of the things that we really care about is the end product. And so when we have the chem reps that come through every 2 weeks and they check our titrations, they check all of our flow jets, our versatrons, they go through everything in our washes to make sure the customer is getting what they pay for. And that's really big thing for us. Again, make sure the customers get what they pay for. And I think that goes through on the professionalism side as well. When they, to idle what Tyler and Blake were talking about earlier, as well as all of your signage being consistent on your sites, making sure the customers see that on your menu boards when they come through and on your packages. So we've had a lot of success with it. One other thing we use that I'm really excited about as part of our culture is called Voice of Customer. So we actually go back and we put out questionnaires. Obviously, we use Google and Yelp, but we put questionnaires out to our fleet accounts and to all of our members in our text blast. We're using OpSpot for that. And we put those out there and say, hey, what are some things that you would like to see or improve upon? So that's giving us constant feedback to the quality of our wash and the product we're putting out. And us being consistent at every one of our sites, it's like McDonald's. You go to any McDonald's across the country, you know what to expect. Just like Camel Express, Mr. Splash is the same way. We want you to have a consistent experience at every one of our locations. And I think, using that brand of chemistry across the entire portfolio has really helped us to maintain those standards. So it's really exciting.
That's going to be my next question. When you think about the impact of those offerings have had, when you talk about those specific brands, what kind of impact do you think they've had on your customers?
So we've been with Rain-X Armor All since the very beginning. I actually used to own in-bay automatics before I got into the Tunnel Express model. And that was one of the first things people would ask you, what does the package include when they pull up? I think there's unfortunately some car washes in the industry, in our nation that don't care about the product that they're putting out. They're trying to get the cars in and get them out. And, a true operator cares about what we're doing. Just
Absolutely.
like employees, we care about making sure our facilities are clean, and our staff. And we really do care that your car comes in, you're trusting us with $100,000 vehicle in most instances, right? We want to make sure it's shiny and comes out good. And it's something we pride ourselves on. And it's an exhausting, never ending thing that you have to continue to strive after. But I think that's what sets us apart.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. The level of detail is important in that we're talking about. If you had another operator come to you and ask you if they should make the switch, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would tell them, don't even think about it. If you want to be, again, a professional car wash, if you're going to do this for a living and be in the industry, it's a no-brainer. In fact, I would think it'd be one of the largest mistakes you would make by not using branded chemistry.
Sounds like you'd have to share the case study with them now that Sydney has.
I think it's very interesting, that case study she put out, and I think it shows the true nature of what's going on out there. It's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing. Sarah, Sydney, thank you for being guest on the Wash Forward show this week. If the audience has any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. We'll reach out to anybody that has them. Tyler and I, we also accept DMs at any time. I'm sure Sydney can make herself available. Jeff, Sarah, if anyone has any branding questions, feel free to reach out to Sarah. And thank you for tuning in. Reminder to check out the full national study report. And we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks. See ya.
Armor and Rain-X are a brand name. They're a household name. People go to certain sports brands. They go to certain gas stations just because of the branding.
For example, let's look at Rain-X. It's been around a long time. A lot of customers, out of any other chemical from my experience, know what Rain-X is. For example, if you go to AutoZone, they've got Rain-X branded wiper blades. It's a very, very common name. So using something like that in a wash, it establishes a little bit of credibility and familiarity.
If people like and know of a name, they're going to come back to us just for that reason. Now you can say, well, we have a rain repellent. They go, like Rain-X? Well, yeah, it's like Rain-X, but it's not Rain-X. And I think that's where having those branding and keeping those brandings is fundamentally sound to do. Anytime there is branding, people like branding.
From the beginning, my business partner and I have always looked at the brand recognition. When you train your customer that brand recognition is important and they start to identify with Armor All and Rain-X and they're like, those are what we want, that's why they're willing to put that $25 in for that wash, because they know they're getting a quality product.